So then we have the consent agenda, the servicing agreement for development at 3231 Number 6 Road. We have applications for new food primary liquor license. Both of them are at the Hotel Versante. One is 8499 Bridgeport Road and one is 8400 West Road. Then we have the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Green Municipal Fund application for the Garden City Land Soil Management and Remediation Study. And finally, the Steveston Community Center and the Branch Library replacement of site selection. May I have a motion to receive, to approve those by consent? Moved and seconded. Councillor McPhail.
Thank you, Your Worship. I support the consent agenda. I just had a question with regard to the Steveston Community Center and Branch Library replacement. In the next steps, staff will be developing a concept design, and I know the work of the building committee will continue to be important in that. And as always, there'll be opportunity for more engagement with the public. And so when do you expect that will be? And how many opportunities for like open houses for like just general public to come in and have a say, you know, give their opinion? When and how many do you think there'll be?
Through the chair to Councillor McPhail, we haven't worked out the detailed plan as yet, but I would anticipate that there would be a minimum of 2 to 4 opportunities for the general public to come forward. They will certainly be invited to the design charrette process, and it generally has at least 2 opportunities within it.
That's great, thank you. And those design charrettes are really exciting and a lot of fun to go through, so thank you.
Councillor McNulty. I think you're muted, Bill.
Sorry, thank you. That was going to be one of my questions, and I thank Councillor McPhail for bringing it up. I guess my question is, do we, after tonight, will we come up with a schedule of moving ahead as fast as possible on this in terms of staff doing their work and then getting something so that the public can follow along on this particular project?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, certainly following this, we will be refining a detailed communication plan, which will outline timelines that will take us from today through to completion of concept design, and then we would update it again from there.
Okay. Now, I guess my question is, obviously it's on the consent agenda, so it's passed. How soon will we hire somebody to get on board to work with the public and become the project manager? Will they be involved with the concept design?
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, we are in the process of going through the process of hiring this individual. The person will be involved in the concept design and in the process of developing the schedule. We already have a PM that is representing the city at this moment, but we will just go through the process and hire someone very quickly.
Okay, I like your last 5 words and what we're going to do. I think that's very, very important that we move along very quickly. So anyhow, thank you for the report. I think it was a good report, good discussion, and I thank the building committee and staff working hand in glove, if you wish, or hand in hand in getting it to this stage, and look forward to us making some very, very strong strides in the next few months. Thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Great, thank you. Just comments. Actually, a question before that. I don't have the updated council agenda, so can I just confirm what is not on the consent agenda? Because I don't have a hard copy of.
There's only 2 items not on the consent agenda: property tax letter to the province and the lawn bowling situation.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for that clarification. The only comment then for the consent agenda, which I will be in support of all items, is the Garden City Lands Soil Management and Remediation Study. I'm thankful that it has come to this, that there will be a scientific process that goes ahead and confirms what we need to know with all the variety of uses of that land going forward. So I am not pleased that the date of when this is completed will be 3 years from now, but we were assured from staff yesterday that some portions will be completed earlier, and the next stage of working those lands over for other uses like agricultural, like community garden plots is in the works sooner than the 3-year deadline. And it also is dependent on what is discovered as the surveying goes on. So I am pleased about that project. This item on the agenda tonight is really just to acquire additional funding from another source, the FCM, and that is obviously going to be a benefit to the city as having some funding come from outside sources. So other than that, again, the Steveston Community Center, I don't have any other questions. I think everything yesterday was well thorough responded to by staff. I did visit the site a couple days ago, and to take the photos and the angles at where the new building corners could be was an important part for myself to help visualize what could be, and that this new site and stories, how many stories to meet our square footage requirements. I'm really pleased with it. And I was assured by staff that the gymnasium, for example, could be rotated 90 degrees and be elongated into the property, as opposed to the width, which might impact the berm with the trees that go around the outfield of the baseball diamond. So I'm pleased at supporting it as it is at this stage in siting. So thank you, and support all the items on the consent agenda.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Yeah, I exactly what Councillor Wolf just said. When it comes to the Garden City lands, we need to prioritize that allotment garden area. It's very important. We all have to wear the reputation of what this has cost the city, and I would like to see the assessment of the soil start in the southwest corner, so we can get going on that ASAP. So I was pleased yesterday when staff confirmed that would be a priority, and they're not going to consider it, they're going to do it. So thank you for that. When it comes to number 7, the Steveston Community Center, I couldn't be more excited about the community center, and I'm really pleased that we're going to be getting project manager ASAP, also very, very, very important. Has there been any consideration to hiring previous employees who may have retired recently to lead up that project?
We would not go into personnel matters in an open meeting.
Okay, well, I'd like just to consider that. There have been some really key people that could be really good people for the future. I won't get into names, but, you know, recent employees that we've lost would be great employees to do this. Thank you.
Councillor Howe.
Your Worship, I just want to confirm that I support everything on the consent agenda, and I'm particularly happy with the site selection for the Steveston Community Center. This has been a long process, but I think this is a good process. And while there's still much more work to do, this is a very important step forward. And this is also the result of the hard work between staff and stakeholders. I'm glad to see that we've accomplished this and have moved to this point. So I look forward to more discussions, reporting back, and consultation with the public on this important project.
Okay. With that, we'll call the question then on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Brings us, we've got 2 non-consent agenda items. The first is the property tax letter to the province. And the recommendation from the General Purposes Committee is that Council write to the provincial government to address concerns regarding the tax deferral program and ask for better communications with the public regarding the rules and policies, and I would so move. Is it seconded? Okay, it's moved and seconded. This is an item that came out of the property tax deferral program. There's been a lot of confusion because this is a new process. And so the communication can be more difficult than usual. And so the idea is to write to the provincial government, asking them to clarify the situation and make sure that they're communicating better with the public regarding the rules and the policies, emphasizing that it is a new process. Councillor Day.
Commissioner Brody, yeah, I think the key here is that it's confusing. It's a two-stage process. So the people I talked to applied, thought they were finished, and then they later realized there was a second stage. How would they know that? I mean, unless you read the fine print. So I think that this is a really good thing to do, especially for our seniors who are so affected by this. We get 50 people that are in a situation where they're now getting fines. So I thank Council for supporting this initiative.
All right, we'll call the question then on the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Anybody opposed? That is carried. And the other item that's off the consent agenda is to do with lawn bowling in the clubhouse. And the committee recommendation is that the floor plan and preliminary form and character design for the Richmond Lawn Bowling Clubhouse be approved as outlined in the staff report, which is in the materials. And that, secondly, that as the Richmond Lawn Bowling Clubhouse is developed, staff keep council informed on various aspects of the project, including, firstly, the need for shading on the perimeter of the building. Secondly, sustainability features such as utilizing district energy utility. And thirdly, whether using the BC STEP code is feasible, and I would so move.
Second.
And it's seconded? Okay, so that's moved and seconded. I emphasize that what we're talking about here is not approval of the whole program or the initiative. What we're looking at is the preliminary form and character as well as the floor plan, which is a fairly straight ahead plan, which is in the materials. We discussed this at great length yesterday at General Purposes Committee, and that's what led to the second part of the resolution. It was indicated that as we were going through kind of fine-tuning design and going through the process, with the mock-ups that were in the materials, we needed to have good assurance that there is shading outside the building so that people can get out of the sunlight, especially since it's basically a summer program. Secondly, sustainability features would be at the forefront, and looking at the possibility of utilizing district energy utility, which is not necessarily, it may be possible, may not. Staff will give us more information. And also whether using this BC STEP code is feasible. Under our process, we use the LEED standard, and it was brought up that we possibly should be using the STEP code, and staff said we would have to take a look at that, and staff would be advised as we go along. So that's basically what it is. I'll be supportive of the resolution, and we'll go for comments. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. I appreciate that. Once again, I really appreciate the steps that Council took yesterday to make some improvements to the project. I think it's a good step forward. Unfortunately, until we densify that location in terms of making maximum use of that property, which is such close proximity to the hospital and all of the support units that help people with homelessness and addictions and food bank. I mean, we really aren't utilizing the property to its full extent. So while I appreciate that Council is at least looking at doing overhangs for creating more shade, that's definitely beneficial. It's still not near good enough, and so I will not be supporting this project. Thank you.
Councillor Howe.
Worship, I'm going to support this recommendation. And yesterday I asked two questions, one on the common use of the space that the other community organizations are going to use and share this space. And I'm particularly delighted that they can have access to the space without going through the lawn bowling clubs. So I think this is a good project that we have space not only for the lawn bowling club but also for the other organizations. And also, I asked the question about time allocation and monitoring. I understand that there would be much more work to do in that respect, but generally speaking, I think this is the right step forward. And I would have a suggestion that, this reflects the new reality, which is this is a space shared by the clubhouse, the lawn bowling club, and also the other organizations. I would like to suggest that we change the name of this facility to Bowling Green Community Clubhouse. So I would like to ask you to entertain my request.
All right, that's obviously open for discussion, that last suggestion. If you want to turn it into a resolution, my suggestion is we'll deal with what we have on the floor and then add a subsequent step to that to incorporate those comments about the name of the facility. Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I'll be supporting the movement on. I'd like, through staff, I'd like to correct a few things on it. When we started this project a couple councils ago and put it forward, this was to be a community facility as opposed to a clubhouse. Was it not, if I can ask staff?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, this is certainly a community facility that is open and welcoming to all in the community. And while you need to be a member to play lawn bowling, anyone is welcome to join.
But on this facility, is it not that any member that is in the Richmond Parks and Rec, social services, etc., could use this facility for meeting space or a program space like just ballet or whatever, because it's going to be big enough, it's going to have some multi-purpose room which can be portioned off?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, there's a large multi-purpose room which can be divided into two and will be available for a variety of community groups to use and or for community programming.
So this is not a private facility, this is a public facility. It never was a private facility, nor intended to be. Is that not correct?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, that is correct.
I understand as well, staff have realized that 60 sport governing bodies from the Richmond Sports Council endorsed this facility and the building of this facility because there is a need for a community meeting space.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, this was certainly identified as one of the top priorities by the Richmond Sports Council for community need.
And it was also identified by a council members a number of years ago as the number 2 facility that needed to be built within the community. Was that not on the priority list?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, this was one of 5 priorities on the list.
And I understand that the facility will be administered by the Lawn Bowling Club, so the OIB will be very low, and people will book either through them or through our recreation clerk.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, we will be working with the Lawn Bowling.
Thank you very much for those comments, and I think we got to get that out into the community, because there is a lot of misinformation out there being spread, which is really not true. I will support Councillor Al in terms of the Bowling Green community, but not a clubhouse, because that sounds like it's for certain people. I would like to see the name be Bowling Green Community Facility, such it's open and welcoming to anybody who would like to use it within the community of Richmond, individual and or group. I think that's because it is a community facility. It is not a clubhouse in the same manner, and the term clubhouse means it's limited. It is not, and I think in this facility, because it is a need by sport groups, by arts groups, by community groups, by performing artists, by visual artists, that this group, because it can be divided into 300-foot areas, quite easily, 100-square-foot areas for meeting space or whatever with mobile walls, and that is the concept. So I'd like to see the word supporting Councillor Howe on the first three, Bowling Green Community, but I'll just name it a facility, and that's where it would sit so people would know the location of it. So I will be supporting it, Your Worship, and thank you, staff, for correcting some of the misnomers.
Councillor McPhail.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will be supporting the recommendation, and thanks to Councillor McNulty for bringing out some of the information that I was also going to bring out. And I have to say that I was really pleased with the concept design that's in our package. Mineru Park is the green heart of Richmond, and there certainly is enough density surrounding it. I don't think we need to add more density to parkland. So I think this design really suits the park, and as we've heard, there will be other community uses to the building, which I'm really pleased to see. My question through you, Your Worship, to staff is when will council be getting the next set of designs, and how many opportunities for public engagement will there be? Because while there's, the building, there's also, how entwined with the Mineru Park vision is this?
Through the chair, through Your Worship, to Councillor McPhail, we will be working very closely with the Mineru Parks renewal team to ensure that the project and the pathways line up and are properly, I want to say, aligned with the plan. As for the designs, we are going into detailed designs, Councillor, and at this time, we are just going to complete our design and possibly refine a bit from the form and character.
All right,
we will be providing.
And how many open houses for the public will there be?
Through the chair to Councillor McPhail, again, we have not worked out a detailed communication plan, but we will be doing that forthwith, and will ensure that there are opportunities for the community to understand how the project is progressing.
That's great. Thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a few things to say on this one, and I'll ask some questions as previous councillors just did. So I did oppose this item in its entirety yesterday, but clearly I'm in support of some of the questions that council had approved yesterday to go further to investigate some of the potentials of this site, not necessarily the building, but of the site. So I think getting some of those answers is worthy, regardless of what the decision on the floor plan and preliminary form and character have to say. So my first question to the staff who can answer, I have a few that I'm not sure if they're challenging or not, but to be a member of this and use this building for the way the floor plan is designed, do the members have to be residents of Richmond?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, you do not have to be a resident of Richmond to participate in any of our community services programs and services, whether it be this program or a swimming or skating program.
Terrific. Yeah, I'm sure many outsiders appreciate that for our great facilities. Listening to the name, this just came up thanks to Councillor Al talking about the naming and some of the comments related to that. I actually like the word center. If things are a center, a hub, or a center of a community, the word center is easily translated and does make a lot more sense. Not a community center, but a smaller version of that. Then going into, I'm not sure if there was going to be another debate on that or not, so I just got the comment in there. A couple of ones. So this floor plan and preliminary form and character, will this accommodate what scale of tournaments? Because I remember that the last time there was discussion on this, the facility was going to be built up to a scale that could handle a certain size of tournament. So So are we talking North America tournament, Canada tournament? What number of people would be involved in that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, well, I cannot tell you the exact number of people that would come to any particular tournament. I can tell you that we would anticipate being able to host at least national tournaments, if not more. In the past, the Lawn Bowling Club has hosted national tournaments as well as provincial tournaments.
Thank you for that. Just a follow up through your worship to staff. The number of people that have been at a previous event there, do we have a max number or what's an above average turnout? For, I don't know if it's participants and observers you want to give, or if we know that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I wouldn't know that number off the top of my head. I'd be more than happy to find out and report back.
Okay, great. Do you know the last time a tournament was held there, was Westminster Highway closed down on the south side, the south of the two lanes? Was it closed down during that event?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I'm not familiar with the event that you are speaking of. Again, I would be happy to do some research and report back.
Okay. Or if someone knows the number of parking stalls in Bowling Green Lane there, because it's quite small, and I know other city events have been very successful when we shuttle people in, but large buses have a challenge turning tight corners like that one, and it wouldn't be able to turn around in there. So it would have to be those smaller community shuttles. I'm not sure what the largest vehicle that can actually go in there and turn around safely without going onto the grass would be. So that's part of the reason why going to a scale of the size of this building that it's set out to be in this floor plan and preliminary form and character seems like it's trying to attract a larger crowd than we can safely put in that space. To walk people from a parking lot on any other corner of Minaroo is a long trek, and for many of the users, for this user group, would be even more challenging. So the drop-off location is not necessarily suitable. I would think a place like an existing school or an existing park somewhere else that has weekend access would be more suitable for a large-scale community facility with a $5.3 million price tag or $20,000 per member. So I also I'm concerned, looking at the form and character of it, that it there was been previous members or Councillor Day spoke earlier about the potential use for on top or second floor. This item, I've received lots of comments. I've read through them all. The number of details I'm not going to go into now because we've already come this far from general purposes yesterday. But hearing some ideas that the public has that could be incorporated into the form and character of this building, things such as memorial plaques, people not having a space when their bench and the plaque has to come off, and they're looking for a city facility that could be a place for that. This also is by the hospital, and I've heard from a number of people that would be a suitable place, and instead of erecting a brand new structure for it, perhaps the existing building could be used for that as a temporary, and if there is a new building, maybe that could also have that element brought in. Has that been considered, or we haven't heard back? I think from Parks, there was a referral on looking for potential sites. You don't have to comment because I think the staff person isn't here with the city anymore. So unless someone on staff can answer that about memorial plaques and if this is a site considered for that.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we have that report coming forward. This building is not one facility that we have looked at currently, no.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, being able to pop in with that. I guess my last comment then, if I may, Your Worship, is a common question that's come up, and there's been a lot of, just since last night, a lot of comments posted social media and such. And one of them is, with this floor plan that's proposed, how could another group, so another group of individuals or another society, use this space? Would it be that they have to apply, or contact directly the lawn bowling group, or is it like trying to book a room at a community center, which many of us are familiar with?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we haven't worked out the exact details yet. Our goal is to make it as easy and seamless for the community to book it as we can. And so we will work with the club to find a way to administer it easily and to make it accessible, like we do with the Rod and Gun Club and other smaller outreach amenities throughout the community.
Terrific. Thank you for all the answers, and thanks to the City Clerk for sending me the agenda electronically. I appreciate that.
Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship, and I apologize for disappearing a few minutes ago. I was having trouble with my internet. I'm really excited to see this coming along, and I'm glad that we're keeping the building low. I think it's going to be best for the park, it's best for the users, and it's best for our flying friends like birds and bats to reduce things like bird strikes. I know I've learned that from one of my fellow councillors, that how important it is to keep buildings inside the parks low. I also think this is going to be a really great place for people of all different backgrounds to come together, to recreate, to socialize, and compete. One of the great things about this new space is it will be accessible. So it's already been an inclusive club welcoming all different kinds of people, but it's going to be accessible. Up to now, they haven't had proper accessible washrooms, big enough spaces to actually move about and do the things that they need to do. And so I think there's really an opportunity here for lots of, especially our seniors who will be, are the key people who are the members using it, to really get together and to be a community, to be outside, to be healthy, and to be active. I know that the city's, I think we've already got it, our new accessible electric community shuttle. And so that'll be the kind of thing that'll be able to move people with low carbon footprint and get into that smaller space there and be an accessible vehicle to move people in and out. So I'm really excited for all the different things that we've been doing, including building this. And I know of some other groups that are looking forward to the possibility of coming in their once-a-week meetings or whatever they have. I know Toastmasters is looking for some new space, and they'll be excited to be able to come. And it certainly dovetails with a space like this that has the open space inside. You can move some tables around, move them back again, maybe even have a kitchen facility. So I think this is going to be a good community space for us. And I think, it's close to other things in the community. We're looking at the Cadillac Fairview site, the Richmond Center site. They've been approved for 2,000 new units, 147 affordable housing units, 200 rental units. There's plenty of affordable housing units coming down the pipe, and it's coming close by. We don't have to stick them into the park. We have a 40-unit supportive housing unit just close by, half a block away. We have these, we're building them, we're partnering with proper groups to build them in the right spaces, and putting them in the park doesn't make sense. What makes sense is to continue to have that park for that additional density that is coming around the park. So we need to preserve our green space. We need to keep our buildings low. We need to look after our birds and the ecological footprint of the park. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to come back to Councillor Au and his suggestion on the name, but I'm going to call the question on the two resolutions we have on the floor. All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried with Councillor Day, Steeves, and Wolf opposed. Now, going back to Councillor Au and your suggestion on the name, and you've heard the comments of Councillor McNulty, I'll let you make whatever motion you wish.
Your Worship, I would like to make the name change to Bowling Green Community Sports Center.
Community Sports Center?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that seconded? No, I'll second that. Go ahead. Did you want to address it?
Yes, I would like to speak to it. I think, as I mentioned, this is going to be a community sports center, activity center for more than just the bowling, lawn bowling group. And to me, I don't have any obsession with any particular name, as long as it reflects the reality that this is a community sports center or activity center for a wider audience or user. This is not for the exclusive use of the lawn bowling club, and I just want a name to reflect that. And I heard Councillor Manati suggesting the word facility. However, again, you excuse me, I'm not a native English speaker, but I do not come across many times that the name of a building would be called a facility. So that's why I changed it to a sports center. So that's why I want to replace the word facility with sports center, but I'm open to accept any other suggestions. As long as we reflect the actual use of the space by a wider group.
All right. Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. We weren't intended when the concept came up, and I do believe that the people that are occupying it now were not totally thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the community at large. I would not like to see it be named a sports center because that delineates what is there. Yes, there's a sporting activity. I would suggest, and I won't support sports center, I'd like to see a Bowling Green activity center because we want to be able to put the arts in there. We want to be able to put culture groups in there, and heritage groups and other groups. And I think we've got to look at the 4,900 square feet is only going to be used by the proprietors right now when there's a bowling activity on. Many times in the evening and during the week and what have you, that center will be available to people to book other kinds of activities in it, and they can do programs and they can have meetings. So I think I'd like to see a generic, and rather than vote on it tonight, maybe we refer it to staff, come back with something that is all-inclusive. I think that's the key I'd like. I appreciate what Councillor Al was coming up with, but even the Richmond Sports Council doesn't call it a center. They were calling it an activity center, which could be used by everybody. So, and they have a vested interest, obviously. So I like the word Bowling Green, activity, and center. So, but I think, Your Worship, the word center, and I agree with that. That's inclusive. It shows a destination point, and I think that's what we wanted because we have the Minaroo Activity Center, and we know where that is. We know what it is, and maybe that's something we do. So rather than us try to do it, maybe we wordsmith it. Maybe we should have staff do it. But if Councillor Al is willing to go to an activity center, I'd be more than happy to move an amendment.
Yeah, Councillor Al, what do you think of that?
Yes, I'm okay with that. So let's call it,
it's in the same spirit, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Support you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mover and the seconder are consenting to this. Is there anybody objecting to that amendment? Okay. Bill, make a formal motion to amend to add activities.
I move to amend the previous resolution to rename the facility the Bowling Green Activity Center.
All right, so it's instead of sports center, it's activity center. That's moved and that's seconded. This is on the amendment. Okay, on the amendment, I've got Councillor Liu, I've got Councillor McPhail.
Thank you, Worship. I don't mind activity center, but I feel like it waters it down. We're always watering things down because we don't want to call it a sport or whatever. Why don't we pay a nod to our former facility that we had on the Minaroo site, the Pavilion, and call it the Bowling Green Pavilion? Because it then incorporates the idea that you can have sports and arts and dance and what have you. Remember, we used that pavilion for many years. All of us remember doing different activities and enjoying the space as a community, and it's having that sport and recreation foundation to it. So I would recommend Pavilion.
Now, Pavilion is instead of activity center or sports center. So it's Bowling Green Community Pavilion. That's what you're saying.
Oh, just Bowling Green Pavilion.
Okay. I'm only saying for myself, I'm not supporting taking that word community out of there.
Okay.
So, do you want, we'll have to deal with the amendment that's on the floor, which is to amend Sports Center to Activity Center. Linda?
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I was in support of the amendment because this is more than a sports center. I think if we're going to be wordsmithing it more, we should send it back to staff because when I think of pavilion, I think of the Miniru Pavilion. To me, I don't see pavilion going with Bowling Green myself. So I would support either Bowling Green Center or Bowling Green Activity Center, which is the amendment.
Bowling Green Community Activity Center is what's on the floor. So it's that amendment. Okay. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. So we're trying to find a way to make the Bowling Green Clubhouse be more, acceptable to the public. How many square feet will the public actually be able to use? This is a question to staff.
Sorry, my apologies. Through your worship to Councillor Day, I would approximate about 500 square feet. Of course,
No, just a minute. We've got that whole activity floor, which is clearly in the thousands of square feet. And that's all going to be able to be programmed for community activities. So it's more than 500 square feet. Elizabeth.
Yeah, through the chair to all of you, there's about 500 square feet of the entire amount that is really exclusive use storage of bowling balls, etc., and a small administration room. The rest is really open and accessible.
All right. How many feet
For
is
community.
it? How many feet is it altogether?
4,300 square feet.
So it's call it 3,800 square feet for common use, including the
Correct.
bowlers. Okay. So Councillor Day.
Yeah, thank you very much. Basically, the public will be able to use 500 square feet. The space itself, if the clubhouse is not being used by the bowling center, is 4,300 square feet. So I propose that we change the name to the Lawn Bowling Clubhouse Hobbit House.
Lawn
if
bowling,
I may, your worship.
What was that? Lawn bowling what?
Hobbit House.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's not going to carry.
Okay, let's get serious here. Councillor Liu. Councillor Day, that was really out of line. Councillor Liu.
Well, think about the line.
Sorry, that hand up was from before. I'm still,
Councillor Steves.
my last statement.
Thank you. Councillor Steves.
Actually, I will support it being called the Bowling Green Activity Center or Community Activity Center. If council will recall, one reason some of us are voting against this is that we have community groups needing 34,000 square feet of community space. This will provide 500, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, but certainly not what we need. But it's much better to call it an activity center than either a sports center or a pavilion.
All right. Let's see. Councillor McNulty, this is on the amendment to Activity Center, from Sports Center to Activity Center.
Yeah, but if we can get clarity here, Your Worship, before we get our noses out of joint, it's the Bowling Green Community Activity Center was what I proposed. But Your Worship, let's get the facts straight. And you were alluding to it earlier, and I can't believe people when they don't get their own way. There's 4,300 square feet. 500 of it is not usable because it's storage. That means there's 3,800 square feet to be used by a community when they go in there. They can book the whole facility, not 500. They can use the whole thing, but they can't go and take the bowling balls out. They can use the kitchen. The washrooms are available. They'll be inside and outside. So let's get realistic with what this facility really is. This is why the Sports Council unanimously supported to have a community activity center at the bowling, because I have a need by all the social services agencies for meetings. I have need by sports groups for meetings. whoever represents the arts, I know they need areas for meetings, and they also need it for program space, which this will add a 3,800 square foot facility for every group in Richmond to be able to book and use. And there is a need. As Councillor Steves was alluding to, everybody is banging for meeting space or programming space. We hear it every day. And this facility is a step in the right direction. So let's get the record straight so that when the press pick it up, that they have the exact specifications of what is available. When I go to book it, I book the whole thing, I get the whole thing. Not unless there's a double booking or whatever and we share and somebody says, well, they're already booked. Because there will be separations within the place so that you can book a smaller space if you indeed need to. Thank you.
Councillor Wolf, now I just remind everybody, we are on the amendment to go from sports center to activity center.
Could you remind me, is the word community in there too still?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole thing is Bowling Green Community Activity Center.
Terrific. Okay, I wasn't going to speak, but I'll be very brief here. I do not support the use of the word community in it. I did ask a question earlier to staff about the ways that other groups of people or societies can request. It's not determined yet how that process will occur. Do they have to go through the lawn bowling group first, or is it like a community center? So that's still being worked out. So I think it's premature to make a decision now on the type of facility name that is going to be attached to the building. I think we need to first figure out how will the other groups book, and then that will determine, is it a community center, is it a clubhouse? So I'm not. That's why I'm going to be opposed to this one, unless staff can clarify that now.
All right. I think we've already been through that.
Okay.
So
okay, thanks.
I'll call the question on the amendment to go from sports center to activity center. All those in favor? Those opposed? So that's carried with Councillors Wolf and Day opposed. And so it is now the resolution on the floor is Bowling Green, changing the name to Bowling Green Community Activity Center. All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried with Councillors Day and Wolf opposed. And just before we leave that, I want to say for any public that is listening, certainly for the media who have completely ignored the community aspect of this whole situation, and frankly for some council comments as well. The community component of this is very, very important. We have built it of such a size so the community can use it. I thank Councillor Au for bringing forward this motion, although it got tweaked a little, it still conveys much more the idea of what we are doing here. And I challenge the media to get this story straight because they haven't gotten it straight yet. So that takes me to public announcements. I do have a number of appointments to announce. These are all until December 31st, 2022. Richmond Intercultural Advisory Committee, we're appointing for the committee Rebecca Avendano, James Shea, Michael Ma, Kanwarjeet Sandhu, and Linda Sum, as well as Karen Barkley, Ian Lai, Isan Malik, Jonathan Miller, and Roy Wong. They are being appointed again to the Richmond Intercultural Advisory Committee. To the Seniors Advisory Committee, Paul Cassidy, Sandra Gebhardt, Mumtaz Natu, and Yasmin Rahman, as well as Penny Chan, Frank Dale, Nina Graham, Lawrence Ho, Diana Leung, Zachary Siegel, and Art Thorogood. Again, that was to the Richmond Seniors Advisory Committee. Then excuse me, I have a number of general announcements. The Gateway Theatre, they are celebrating the festive season with a special online show, Home for the Holidays. You know that The Gateway Theatre always presents a musical at Christmas time. So you can enjoy a night at the theater in the comforts of your home with performers and songs from some of the best musicals to ever grace Gateway's main stage theater. The online show runs from Friday, December 18th, right through Friday, January 1st. For more information on that, at the Gateway Theater's website, gatewaytheater.com/home for the holidays. Then we have the winter program registration. Registration is now open for winter programs starting the week of January 4th. Don't miss your opportunity to register for activities such as dance, skating lessons, swimming lessons, and sports skills for children, music for parents and tots, private violin lesson, badminton and table tennis for youth, day camps for children ages 5 through 12. So if you want to look at those, browse through them, and register, find out the time, find out the location, go to the Richmond website, richmond.ca/register. Then we have the winter break. While this holiday season is like no other, there are still many fun and safe local activities to do outdoors or from the comfort of your home. So it's from Steveston Village to many other areas of the cities. You can take in the many holiday light displays, register for Winter Wonderland skating session at Minaroo Arenas, take a family swim at Minaroo Centers for Active Living, or sign up for an online workout with a professionally trained instructor, and much, much more. Now, I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. All the activities are virtual or socially distanced, and they meet the strict health and safety guidelines as set out by local and provincial health authorities. Then this is a reminder that City Hall is going to be closed starting next week. It starts on Christmas Day itself, and we reopen Monday, January the 4th. So for a full list of all the holiday closures in our various facilities and how to contact the city on an urgent matter during this time, please visit our website. So, and today is our final council meeting until the new year. We'll return with the General Purposes Committee on Tuesday, January 5th, with our first council meeting of 2021 scheduled for Monday, January the 11th. So I want to remind everyone to stay safe and to respect and follow the public health orders in place to prevent the spread of the pandemic. Our holidays will look a little different this year, but there are many ways we can still celebrate while keeping everybody safe. So just on some personal advice, just consider unwrapping presents with family and friends on Zoom. Practice safe physical distancing. Wear a mask while you're indoors, and remember to limit the number in your gathering to your household or your core bubble. The safety and well-being of our community is paramount, and we urge everyone in Richmond to continue to be safe and respect the safety of others. So on behalf of City Council, to all members of Council, to the public, we want to wish everybody a very safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and if there's any other celebrations, we hope that you partake in them and you enjoy them. We look forward to connecting again in 2021. It's another year, and let's face it, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it just can't be any more challenging than this year. So all the best to everybody, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you very much, everybody. And we still have a couple of things on the agenda. Madam Clerk, bylaws for adoption.
Both with no noted opposition.
So that's moved and seconded. Discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And then we have the development permit panel.
Thank you, Your Worship. There are two recommendations for Council. Recommendation 1, that the Chair's report for the Development Permit Panel meetings held on April 29th, July 29th, and September 30th, 2020 be received for information. And Recommendation 2, that the recommendations of the panel to authorize the issuance of a development permit for the property at 9391, 9393, and 9411 Number 2 Road, and a development permit for the property at 6333 Ma Bing Street be endorsed and the permits so issued.
So moved. That's moved and seconded. Discussion on that? We'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Someone move adjournment.
Move adjournment.
Thank you.